My Hero Academia Season 5 came out in 2021, and everyone was like,
Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared.
so how did we get here? How did we get to the point of metaphorically rioting over a manga's anime adaptation? There are a number of factors that contributed to the current discourse. So let's explore exactly what happened to make the entire My Hero Academia fandom lose their goddamn minds. My name is Joseph, and join me as I take a look at the stretch of My Hero Academia story that I like to call Izuku Midoriya and the Prisoner of Azkaban. From the beginning of the season, it is obvious that the story is in the middle of a paradigm shift. Almost immediately, both Izuku and the audience witness the creation of One for All, with the first user telling Izuku he's only using 20% of the power. This is what sets the narrative tone of the season. There's less of an emphasis on overall plot and more of a focus on world building. Not only with the origins of One for All, but also seeing the actual duties of being a pro hero in theory and in practice, going all the way to how the term quirk came into use for people's powers. And this is where my comparison to Prisoner of Azkaban really comes into play. The season starts with the last hurrah of how things are in this world as we know them. The joint training arc does this masterfully because at this point, the characters don't realize how close everything is to falling apart. It's the Quidditch Championship in Prisoner of Azkaban. We get to see just how far the students of Class 1A have improved throughout these 5 seasons, as well as giving us a proper introduction to most of Class 1B. It is one last small-scale, feel-good moment before the bad shit happens. So, yeah, Season 5 is most about getting the pieces in place for the next leg of the story. This is a big reason why I consider this stretch to be the series' overall weakest, despite being rather fond of 2 of the 3 arcs that comprise it.
Hold it!
Well, this is something I didn't think was going to be a thing when I first started this and came up with that title. The Harry Potter reference in the title is a bit of an odd decision, especially considering how JK has recently decided to just take all of her goodwill and reputation and just... The reason I titled the video the way that I did is I wanted to make a reference to something that was also an installment that was more focused on world building than the overall plot. And Prisoner of Azkaban was the only thing I could think of. Recent real-world actions that she has taken has caused us to age like a fine milk, and it really sucks, especially for those that her words and action have actively targeted. I'm sure that there are better references that I could have based the title around. Leave your suggestions in the comments. This is just a rather long-winded and kind of rambly way of saying that reference is in no way meant to be an endorsement of her views. And let's get back to the video. Now comes the part that made Season 5 so controversial. You may have noticed that I mentioned that this season is comprised of 3 major story arcs. The Joint Training arc, the My Villain Academia arc, and the Endeavor Agency arc. The anime made the decision to swap the order of the latter 2, a decision that fan reaction, especially on Twitter, was, well... So why was this decision made? The answer to that can likely be found in the fun, exciting, always easily accessible world of business decisions based on sales figures. Okay, so this is today's date, and this information comes from the most recent sales graph I could find. The arc had a noticeable drop in sales when it was published. The series wasn't in danger of being cancelled or anything like that, but like I said, noticeable enough that people with fancy suits and corner offices made a conscious decision to try to avoid that from happening with the anime. And then a few months after the season ended, the year-end popularity poll came out and kind of proved it was the right decision. Despite being a manga popularity poll, it was heavily skewed by the anime. How skewed? Shinso was number 10. How skewed? The movie exclusive character, Rhodey's Soul, was number 9. How skewed? Present Mike was number 8. All three of them made the top 10 on the strength of their anime appearances alone. They either did not show up in the manga this past year, like Shinso and Rhodey, or were like Present Mike, any glorified cameo at best. None of the villains were in the top 10. Shigaraki barely cracked the top 20, and even then, he got outvoted by Shindo. Again, Twice, who I would argue got the most development out of the My Villain Academia arc, got fewer votes than Izuku's Freckles. And the funny thing is, this is not even the first time that something like this has happened. Back during the beginning section of the story, there was an arc that was instrumental in changing the direction the series would be going in. And that arc was the summer training camp. But it turns out the way it changed things was not quite what series author Kohei Horikoshi envisioned. Because the instant the villain showed up, the series' popularity tanked. Because of this, Horikoshi cut the arc short and hurried on to the next arc. Taking this information along with the known drop in sales from when My Villain Academia was first published, is it really any wonder that the anime decided to play it safe and engage in a bit of damage control when it came to the arc? Upon this information being translated, the bird-themed house site that is Twitter reacted exactly how you expect. Alright, look, I'm not saying you have to be happy about the changes or even like them, but if you're going to be mad, at least direct that anger where it should be. Like, if you want to be mad at the animation studio for anything, let it be over something like this. The funny thing is, if this was better animated, it would have taken another moment away from Spinner, since he would not have to explain what just happened. So, pick your poison, I guess. And that is all the specifics I'm going into on this arc. Absolutely nobody wants me to go on a tangent about My Villain Academia as an arc in general. Although, the link to my Patreon's in the video description. I am adding a goal right now. If we get my Patreon to $250 per creation, I will make a video giving my complete, quite possibly inebriated, so be very much unfiltered, thoughts on My Villain Academia as an arc as a whole. Yes, I am putting it behind a paywall. Don't give me that look. This is a business. The anime's Restructuring places the Endeavor Agency arc in a really unenviable position. Not only does it need to have Endeavor teach Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto, and in the process prove to be arguably the greatest teacher that Izuku has had to this point, and this is without him being in the loop on One for All, as well as showing them precisely what it means to work at the agency of Japan's #1 hero.
If you don't make it in time, you don't get a bad grade. People don't come home.
It also needs to tease the My Villain Academia arc's events and generate anticipation for that portion in an attempt to make the audience actually care about it. How does it do with that? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. There are two scenes in particular I want to focus on. The first is when Endeavor begins to decode the hidden message in the Metahuman Liberation War book. In the context of the anime, this is the first hint that there's anything going on, and takes a rather mundane scene in the manga and turns it into a compelling end-of-episode cliffhanger.
What? Holy fuck!
Over 100,000.
Jeez.
What? Whoa. Over 100,000.
What?
What?
Oh my gosh, we're gonna go to war. That
Wow.
is gonna
Over 100.
Holy shit!
Damn, an actual army?
Whoa, man.
The second is when Hawks meets with the upper echelon of the villains as part of his undercover mission. It starts off well, it really does, because several key players were introduced in My Villain Academia, which is being kept a mystery at this point in the anime, so they show everyone in silhouette until they just don't anymore. Spinner, Dabi, Toga, and the audience's first glimpse of new villain Redestro are clearly visible. Like I said, a mixed bag. Like I said earlier, the role of the season is to set everything in place for the next leg of the story, and by season's end, that's exactly how we are left. Through Hawks, the heroes know about the imminent danger the entire world is facing.
4 months from now, boom. Everything is destroyed, and Tomura will ruin this world.
Because of the threat that the Paranormal Liberation Front poses, the hero students had the work studies to prepare them for this battle. And at the season's end, the heroes and villains are about to clash. It is all coming to a head in Season 6. Thank you all for joining me on my look at the role and structure of My Hero Academia Season 5. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment and / or a like if you did. If you didn't, well, you can always hit the dislike button.